It's common knowledge that James Bond is making its way to 4K Ultra HD with 2 releases for the Sean Connery era of the character. Are these releases that I am going to pick up? Are they? That's the question I'm going to pose here today and look at. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on these new James Bond reissues. And whether I'm going to get them. But before that, let's take a look at where I stand with James Bond currently. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this new discussion about the new James Bond releases. They were announced a short while ago. We've recently got art for both the Steelbook sets and the standard 4K set. Box set announced, shown to us, and yeah, now obviously we know that Amazon MGM now hold the rights to James Bond. They own the rights to James Bond. They've bought everything essentially. They can do what they want with the character now. The Broccoli's have sold out essentially. They were due to retire. I think they got something stupid like £10 million, billion, not million, for this franchise. They're going to want to make an investment fast with it. Right, that stands to reason. They're going to want to start seeing a return on that investment. And seemingly the first thing that has happened is that we have seen the announcement of these James Bond films in 4K. Now, as of yet, they are not available individually. They are available as a box set. But like I said, we'll come into that after I take a look at where I am with James Bond and my collection. So, okay, so first of all, as part of my James Bond collection, I have this beautiful set here. And seriously, I love this. I do like this collection. It is a great collection. I picked this up in CEX some considerable time ago. I'm going back years, and I paid something in the region of about £30 for it, and that is all. Comes in a solid box like so. Really nice box, Bond 50, and within we are given 2 books like this. Now I know that on a shelf this doesn't exactly sit pretty in what it is, but it is a lovely release, and it does hold every James Bond film up to a certain point, as you can see. So we shall quickly go through. You know, you've got nice art on these pages. You've got the year of release of the film here, 71, 73. You've got the discs there, Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die. Yeah, The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me. I know I didn't say the first ones. And then you have Moonraker and For Your Eyes Only there. You know, it's a lovely hardback, almost coffee table style like book. It's really nice. And you got a silver. So kind of the, you know, silver era, and then you got the golden era, so to speak. However you want to look at it, in gold on this one here. Now this one here, obviously these are stepping into the newer realm of Bond. Octopussy and A View to a Kill, Connery's last. And then we step into the era of Dalton with The Living Daylights and License to Kill, my favourite Bond film. And then we have Pierce Brosnan era with GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies, and The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day. And then we step into the Daniel Craig era of Bond with Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace there. And as you can see, Skyfall is on a different disc, because when you actually bought this, you had a space there. You had an empty space for your release of Skyfall, which at this point wasn't actually out, but it was in cinemas when this was released. And you got a bonus disc there. So I do have a Skyfall in there. Now, as it's always been with Bond, we seem to get a new release with each film that comes along. Something new is done to try and entice us to buy all those movies over again. And that's no exception with the release of the 4Ks. And like I said, we will come into that. You do have the film titles on the back there as well. And yeah, I seriously like this set. I think this is a lovely, lovely set. And I would say for James Bond, I can't say that it's been bettered yet. I think that's lovely. So obviously, I still do have other Bond films as well. And there is a bit of double dipping here with some of these, as you will see. So let me just get these into their sort of release order and we'll take a look. So what we have here, I have a steelbook still sealed for the movie Goldfinger. This steelbook I picked up cheap. Actually, I did pick it up cheap. I thought it'd be a nice one to have. I like the art on it and I never opened it. I've got them in that pack there, so why would I open it? So that's like that. And then we move on to the other steelbooks that I have. I have the Living Daylights here. Now this is one of those, I think this was Zavvi that released these steelbooks a little while ago. I'll show you, because on the front what I have there is actually a magnet. A custom made magnet that I had done for these, because let's be honest, that art on that is what, that doesn't inspire me to pick this release up. But I picked this up in a sale when Zavvi had a sale on. I thought, okay, let's get the 2 Dalton films, because Dalton is my favorite James Bond. They're 2 of my favorite James Bond movies, with License to Kill being my favorite James Bond movie. And I thought, you know what, let me get a custom made magnet done for this steelbook. And thusly I got this one done here. You may remember that poster. Great poster. I think they then had to change that poster, didn't they? So that the dress itself wasn't as see-through as what it seemingly is. So yeah, so that's the Living Daylights. And then similarly, I have the License to Kill steelbook there. And again, a magnet to go on it of an art that I liked for this movie that had been done and commissioned later on. This is more of a newer art, shall we say. Yeah, but again, it was one of those ones at the time that, again, not particularly inspiring an art choice to pick up. We'll come back into that. So we have that as well as a release. So I'll get that one back into the bag there. And I do like, you know, I like what I've done with them. Then we have another steelbook. And I ain't got many more steelbooks for Bond. This is GoldenEye. Pierce Brosnan's first. This is a lovely steelbook. Debossing there. This was one of my earliest Blu-ray steelbooks, I believe. I'll be honest, as I recall. And there's the interior. I think this is quite a hard steelbook to come by now, and sort of fetches a pretty penny or 2. I've got no intent of letting it go. I think that's a really nice steelbook. You know, poster art on it, which is great, which, you know, especially the earlier era of Bond, you don't really see. And then I have another Casino Royale, which is this one here. And I picked this up in CEX in Croydon, I remember, some time ago now, for something silly like 50 pence. They had this for 50 pence. And even though I had the film, I couldn't not pick it up because it's a good film. You know, I can't get it out because I'm trying to get it out and it's like that. And I took it up to the till. It's got a hard box there. And you open it up like so. And inside there, you do have art cards in that wallet there. I won't get them out to show. But yeah, that's a nice release. And the person who sold it to me said that his colleague was actually going to buy it himself. But they shouldn't have had it on the shelf, should they? If that was the case, he should have taken it. So I got it for 50 pence. Seriously. I was shocked at the price of that. And then we have another Quantum of Solace. With this slip here, you still see the ring there. Look at the mark that ring's made from CEX. I picked this one up simply for the... it was cheap, simply for the slip, more than anything else, because it sort of opens up like so. with little Velcro's tab, which I'd never seen before. I've never seen this. And I thought, okay, let's get that one for the collection. And then we have Skyfall as a steelbook. Daniel Craig, Skyfall steelbook, Blu-ray. Yeah, it's nice. What happened was I got this before I bought the big set. I had some of these before I bought, well, no, not many of them actually. Casino Royale, GoldenEye, definitely. But I bought the big books, while I had this already. And then I bought another cheap Skyfall to go in that while keeping this one in here. And then we move on to what's outside of that box, and that is Spectre, like so. Just a standard, bulk standard release. Nice spot glossing on that. And then we have No Time to Die as a 4K. No slip on this. I didn't buy this brand new at release. I bought it in CEX later on for about 15 quid when it had dropped to that sort of price. And I'll be honest, I've still not watched the end of this James Bond film. I struggled with this one immensely, and I've never revisited it and got myself to the end. And then obviously the other one, I say obviously, but the other one that I have is Never Say Never Again, the unofficial James Bond film starring Kim Basinger with Sean Connery, where he returned as an older version of the character in this movie that is essentially a remake of Thunderball. Not part of official canon. End. But there we go. So I have a kind of nice varied selection of James Bond releases there. Like I said, I'm really enamoured with this. I think it's a great set. I really do. I love that. But now we've got the 4Ks coming. 4Ks are coming. So again, for me, is there a temptation, a need, an urge to upgrade James Bond to 4K? So first of all, this new release. All right, I'll put the images up on the screen of what they look like. So obviously here we have the 4K set, not standard 4K set of it. As you can see, it's, you know, the art on it has got some Japanese writing there. Yeah, I don't know. And then we have this one here. This is the Steelbook set. Okay, films aside, take the films out of the equation here. I'm just going to talk about the packaging on these two items. So firstly, the standard set. So this here standard set, £79.99, 80 quid for this set here. Okay, like I said, okay, films aside, let's just look at the packaging. Let's look at the art on this. I don't mind it. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind what I'm looking at. I don't get it. I think there is an inherent laziness to this. I don't understand the use of the sort of Japanese text, the Asian text on here. You know, this is a British character. And I don't get the association of that to this thematically. You know, if this was Kill Bill and Kill Bill done something like that, it would make sense, because there you have films that are a homage to, you know, sort of Asian cinema. But this is James Bond. So whilst I don't mind it, I don't get it, I don't understand it. I do think that there's an inherent laziness in this product and the design of this product. But nowhere near as bad as the laziness in this Steelbook set. Now, I know that historically the James Bond releases have never really used artwork, poster artwork, as their cover designs. There's always been something different about them, you know, something unique to that that set of releases, so to speak. But here in this case, looking at the steelbook covers, all we've got is a scene, you know, a snippet, a paused moment of the character of Bond from the films. Someone commissioned this. Someone said, you know what, this is a great idea. Someone said, let's roll with this. Someone signed this off. I'm lost for words on the thought process that goes behind releasing something like this, something as lazy as this product, something as lazy looking. Okay, films and transfers aside, we don't know what we've got yet, but I'm talking about the product, the aesthetics of this product. It's horrendous. Now, I know art is subjective. It's a subjective medium. Okay, so that means that there's going to be people that look at this and say, you know what, I think that's fantastic. I think that's a really good idea. I think that's clever, that's smart, that's beautiful. There's no accounting for taste. Yeah, I think that on a scale, I'm pretty sure that people would weigh that that's quite a lazy looking release rather than that's an amazing idea and fantastic looking release. 120 quid for this one, I believe. It's 119.99 thereabouts. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So therein lies the question for me. Upgrading James Bond to 4K. Let's talk about that one. So interestingly, obviously the Sean Connery box set, it omits George Lazenby's film. I mean, that makes sense because it's Sean Connery. But where is George Lazenby's film, considering that it came between the latter two Sean Connery movies? Sean Connery left the role. George Lazenby stepped into it. George Lazenby done the one. Sean Connery came back for Diamonds Are Forever. His final outing as James Bond in 1971, I believe. I'm checking that out now. Yes, Diamonds Are Forever was 1971. On Her Majesty's Secret Service was 69. Prior to that, You Only Live Twice as 67. So where's that one? What are they doing with that? What's the plans for that film? You know, I think it would have made more sense for these Bond films, these Bond box sets, rather than sticking to a specific actor like they have. You do an era. You know, you do that era, the Sean Connery era, including On Her Majesty's Secret Service. You do the Roger Moore era, all of his films together. And then you do a Pierce Brosnan Dalton era where they encompass those 6 films in one. And then you end up with a Daniel Craig era for his 5 movies. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with On Her Majesty's Secret Service, how they split the Dalton and Brosnan eras of the movies. Yeah, but like I said, for me, it's only 3 films that I want. So it's a shame at the moment, seemingly there aren't individual releases. I'm pretty sure at some point down the line they will do individual releases. It makes sense too, because like I said, they want to return and that money will be wanting to flow into their pockets pretty damn quickly. So we'll see what happens there. Keep an eye on this space, so to speak. But yeah, for me, upgrading James Bonds, for the most part, 90%, 80% of them, no, not for me. Especially with the lazy design packaging choices that they have gone with. Just horrendous. So there we go, just my thoughts on it and where I sit with James Bond in my collection. So let me know down in the comments below whether you are happy with the design choice. Like I said, it's all subjective, just my thoughts. I don't particularly like them. Are you getting these? Are you planning on getting these? Do you want the steelbooks? Do you want the standard box set? Would you rather they do individual releases so you can just choose and pick those Bond films that work for you rather than the ones that maybe don't? Let me know in the comments, and speak to you soon.